Hey guys, I decided to take a little break from working on TVs to restore this Stromberg Carlson 1200 radio. I'm hoping to do it in just one night. I found both the SAM's service info and the actual Stromberg Carlson service info. It's an interesting radio in that, unlike your typical All-American 5, this uses a selenium rectifier and then 5 tubes for amplification. Typically in an All-American 5, one of the 5 tubes is a rectifier. So you might think of this more as an All-American 6, I suppose. So that extra tube in this case they use as an RF amp up front. So I expect this radio should have pretty good performance. Looks like it's fairly simple. Just two electrolytics, both 40 microfarad, 200 volts. Couple power resistors because the tube filaments don't quite add up to 120 volts. So we got 120 ohm at 2 watts in there. And this guy here. Don't show value for some reason, but I'm sure it's in the parts list. And for the plastic, or rather the paper capacitors, I think they're all either 0.05 microfarad or 0.005 microfarad. Let's see, the parts list in here. The string diagram. Hopefully I won't need that. I don't really like having to restring dials. It's not a whole lot of fun. Yeah, here's the parts list. Oh, I guess there was a 0.01 microfarad, 0.005, 0.05. Alright, I've got all that on hand. I'll use 47 microfarad caps in place of the 40 microfarad. Extra 7 microfarads isn't going to hurt anything. Oh, there's our 13 special NTC. That must be a thermal type of resistor, but it's to provide a soft startup. Probably decreases in resistance as it warms up. Hopefully that's still good, otherwise I could use something like a CL90 to replace it. I have not opened up this radio. It's just like I got it. Power cord I think I can reuse. The rubber's in pretty good shape, still pliable. It's got the original back. So I'll grab some tools and let's pop this open and see what's inside. I've relocated to my workshop. Let's see, I guess first I need to get these knobs off. Alright, there's one. Feel the pins. Alright. Okay, we have 4, looks like they're 1/4-inch nuts on the bottom. And Phillips screws on the back. Oh, that one was just about to fall out. Ideally, this will just slide right out. It's the plastic from the front of the dial. hung up on something. Oh yeah. Get this cabinet out of harm's way. Unlike that GE, I think it was a 212 I restored a while ago, the antenna on this is perfectly intact, but it does use that same type of concentric square copper. Actually, it looks exactly the same as a GE antenna. At any rate, it looks to be intact, so I won't have to do any repairs on that, I hope. We've got 6 tubes, which I was not expecting to see. One of them looks like a rectifier too. Speaker's in nice shape. Yeah, 35Z5. This does not match the schematic. Maybe this isn't actually a 1200. I didn't actually see a part number on anywhere. I was just going off the appearance of the cabinet. Let's see. I don't see any mention of any design variation. Yeah, hop online and it's a little double checking. Maybe I don't have quite the right service info for this. Thanks to this fantastic website, I believe I have now correctly identified this radio. This is the Radio Addicts archive, and you can pull up a manufacturer and they have many photos illustrating all of the models. So for example, there's my chairside Stromberg Carlson, the 231R. So I started scrolling through this website, looking at all these amazing Stromberg Carlson radios, and I think this is it, the 1101 1946. Whereas I incorrectly thought that it was a 1200 or 1400. They're awfully similar looking. And if I click on this, I can pull up larger, better photos. So it's got the same color knobs, same cabinet and everything. So I then hopped over to this website called Made in Rochester, which has info for an awful lot of Stromberg Carlsons, including the 1101. So I printed out the Sam's folder, and it's got all the typical Sam's service info. Unfortunately, it's got one of the crappiest schematics I've seen. It's really small, and they don't have any of the part values on it. Just some hard to read numbers, and I have to cross-reference constantly back to the parts list. Luckily, they've also got the rider's pages and the SAM schematic that has been blown up a bit. Still not part values though, so not the most useful thing. Let's see what rider says. Quite often riders are really hard to read as well. Yeah. At least it's got the part values on it though, so I'll print out this page too and stumble my way through it. Okay, let's take a closer look at this chassis. It looks like it's all original. I think I'll restuff these caps. What the heck, I haven't done it in a while. Plus they do say Stromberg Carlson on them, so it's kind of neat. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all together. Don't see any evidence of any repairs. As for the top, .35Z5 looks a little bit worn out. Some white around the getter on the top. I'll have to test all these tubes. And the filter cap there in the middle looks like the cardboard sleeve is unraveling. For now, I'm just going to tack in 2 replacement electrolytics down below. I'll restuff it later, but I do want to try to get this radio running tonight. It's getting kind of late, so don't have time to restuff it right now. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is test the tubes. Normally I don't. I do that later, but tubes have tripped me up on the last couple projects, so I want to get those out of the way first. Let's see, what have we got? In the pictures they show 4 metal tubes, but this has 1 glass 12SK7. I think I will go ahead and replace it with a metal type. That provides better shielding. On these type tubes, this metal collar around the bottom provides the shielding. Oh, it's been like this, of course, the entire metal casing shields it. So 12 SK7, 12 SA7. And 12 SK7. To get these out, what I'm doing is I'm pulling up while wiggling it in a circular motion. 12 SQ7. 35 Z5. Kind of an odd looking base on that guy. I guess they call it a minimalist base. Use as little plastic as possible and the bare number of pins on it. And the audio output tube, 35L6. Quite a few different brands of it. I think every tube's a different brand. We got a Filca, we've got a Raytheon, RCA, another RCA, a GE, and a Sylvania. Well, all the tubes test good. In fact, 4 of them test like brand new. The 12 SQ7 and 35 Z5 are a bit weaker, but still definitely in good range. Alright, so first up, I'm going to unsolder the wires going to that filter cap and tack a couple new electrolytics down in there. Also need to find a stable way to set this chassis up. Okay, there we go. I'm down to 1 last capacitor to rebuild. Just like that. And this is another 0.05 400 volts.
I'm gonna go to the library on Wednesday, and I may stop by the library Monday,
I've been wrapping some electrical tape around the capacitors when they're this small, otherwise they just slide around inside the tube.
There might be a wardrobe malfunction. Maybe, maybe not. That could be. Yeah, so I would be at the library all the time now. It's like turning the library into a gentleman's club. Or a ladies' club. Like a sugar shack for the ladies where the just one of many irresistible treats at the latest crave in downtown Geneva. For an overwhelming selection of unique gifts for the home that are as individual as you are, step into Cocoon. You'll discover 2 stories filled with everything from sofas to soaps, with terrific holiday gift ideas under $25. Cocoon, located on 3rd Street in downtown Geneva, Illinois. Mile after magnificent mile, Marvel's The Brain Store offers games, puzzles, books, and software that strengthen and stimulate the brain. Their merry, brainy, and bright holiday gift selection has something for everyone on your list this season. Marvel's The Brain Store offers games and puzzles like the Geek Box, world-famous Buckyballs, and the long-awaited Bucky Cubes. Bring Marvel's brand new...
Alright, let that cool down and install it.
And boost brain power with the Daily Brain.
Now, I did actually leave one capacitor out of the radio.
All available at Marvel's The Brain Store. Marvel's The Brain Store, offering merry, brainy, and bright gifts for brains of all ages this holiday season.
It had been down here.
Located at 55 East Grand, the 4th floor of Water Tower Place.
And I did rebuild this, but the reason I didn't install it was when I looked more closely at the schematic, I saw that it's on the AC power line. It's that capacitor number 8 there. That goes directly across the AC line. For that, you really need to use a safety cap designed to go across the AC line. Type X, I believe you use when it goes across the line, and use a type Y if it goes from one side of the AC line to ground. So I would need to use something like this. But it's supposed to be 0.05 and I only have 0.01 and I think 0.015. So I'm just going to leave it out. Generally it's not too crucial. I guess back in the day it was more of an issue with noisy lines interfering with radio operation, but I don't think that it's something to really be concerned about. But if I do need one, I will get a 0.05 safety cap. Unfortunately, I don't think they come in a style that would fit inside one of these caps. I think they're all this rectangular shape, so we'll see. Alright, so I need to reinstall this capacitor and finish tacking in one electrolytic, this guy right here, and then we can try powering this radio up. I'm ready to try powering this setup for the first time. I've got it plugged into a 60-watt dim bulb tester and an isolation transformer. I did replace that one glass 12SK7 tube with a metal type. I'm also happy to say that the tuning mechanism does work, so no restringing. Here we go. That's a good sign. The 60-watt light bulb lit up bright and then dimmed down as the tube filaments warmed up, and the pilot light is on. You can see the tubes glowing. Oh, some signs of life. And some sound. Sounds terrible. And the gain's pretty crappy because I have the set turned up all the way. But hey, it's something. this set doesn't really have mica caps in the IF transformers, so I'm not too concerned about that. There are a couple mica caps elsewhere though. There's 100 picofarad here, so I want to check that guy. And well, there might be some caps inside here. I'm not sure. The value's not marked on them though. And this dash line, I guess, is the IF can. Otherwise, these trimmers they show are ceramic and they stick out the top of the cans. And that's pretty annoying. There's a resistor and two capacitors. I got R1, C11, and C16 inside that can there. They're not listed on the parts list. I've also found some other differences in this radio as compared to the schematic though, so this has been rather frustrating to work on. For example, this inductor does not exist in this radio. They also mention a 0.002 microfarad cap. That cap's not in the radio. And I found some stuff in the radio that's not on the schematic. For example, there's a 1 mega ohm resistor with a 5 picofarad cap across it down here. Not on the schematic anywhere. It's that guy down here. And, kind of hard to see, but there's a 150 ohm resistor here. That's not on the schematic at all. They show that just being a direct connection between this capacitor and that point over here. However, all this stuff looks to be original, so I'm not going to mess with it, but it is frustrating when trying to trace out the wiring on the schematic and check voltages and parts values when what you have does not match the schematic. Here's that 100 picofarad mica cap. I'll check that guy, and I do have some 100 picofarad spares, I'm pretty sure. If I do want to dig into the IF cans, it looks like they're held on by some nuts underneath. They're probably, so it's probably not too hard to get them open. So like here and under there. And of course I'll have to disconnect some of the wires. If I need to pull the cans out, I don't know. I'll try getting the covers off to see what's inside it, at least. And I'll check the voltages. This schematic is, or rather this voltage chart here is pretty handy. They show you what the voltages should be on each of the tubes. I took a printout of the schematic and wrote in all the parts values and also traced out the modifications in the radio that I have. So it turns out that 1 meg resistor in parallel with a 5 picofarad cap is going from the plate of the output tube back to the detector tube. I do not know what that is for. It seems to me it's like some kind of feedback. If any of you guys have ever seen that before or have some idea why that might have been added, please let me know. And this capacitor is indeed missing, which also puzzled me because I think I've seen one of these in like every radio and TV I've ever worked on. Capacitor across the primary of the audio output transformer. And finally found a 150 ohm resistor added in here. So I went through and double checked my wiring and the resistor values and so on, and pretty much everything seemed to be within tolerance, and I didn't find any wiring mistakes. So then I started poking around more, and I think I may have found the problem. The antenna wire, or one of the antenna wires, is broken loose, so I'm going to solder that back on and see if that makes any difference. Oh, way more gain now.
Frank, appreciate the call. You have a good one. And,
Still very staticky and crackly though.
Frank, appreciate it.
It's not like it's a dirty volume pot. I already cleaned it. Plus, the crackling is always there, even with the volume turned all the way down. So I think it's anything associated with that.
And that's factoring in that Haney through 3X. That's a good.
I was just curious to see how the reception's affected by the orientation of the radio. Doesn't seem to make too much difference.
5, they roll it to 4 now.
Say that male hormone is what drives a lot of the items early in America. Lincoln Park, 658 West Eldon Avenue. Well, this JD.
Alright, two things I'm going to try next. Well, three. One, I still want to check the voltages in the two pins. Two, I want to try replacing the 12SA7. This one tested okay, but not great. And finally, I want to check what few mica caps there are in this radio. I freed up one end of the 100 picofarad mica capacitor so I could accurately test it. If you leave it in circuit, it can be affected by other various components like these two resistors were attached to it. I've got it hooked to my solar capacitor tester, and I cannot get a reading. I can rotate this dial on and I don't get anything. You're supposed to get an open eye when you hit the value on the right value on the dial. If I check for leakage, tons of leakage even on the lowest setting. So that capacitor is definitely bad. Luckily 100 picofarad is a common value and I've got a few new ones on hand. It won't look like the original, but nobody makes them like that anymore, and there's really no practical way to restuff those. I suppose I could make a mold like I did for some dog bone resistors and encapsulate this in some plumber's putty and mold it and paint it to look like that, but I'm not going to go to those lengths. I'm just going to tack this guy in. I replaced that mica cap, so time for another test.
Against influenza this and every year.
Alright, that's something much better. And the volume is turned down about as low as it can go, and I'm still hearing audio.
The American Lung Association urges everyone sick
Caring about you won't have a 100% unified
Oh, that's much
conservative.
better.
I think it is our duty when we get close to something.
Office Max, Staples, Office Depot, and Epson.com.
Właściwie wierzyć w Boga, żeby mieć właściwą społeczność zbudowaną.
Chicago. Remember, God's choice blessings be yours, for you and your family, until I... Yo me cuento entre la gente que no tiene falsedad. खुशियों के खत में लिखा है और कलाम या काम की
From Good Luck Charlie. Hang in there, baby. There's more Review Disney coming up next.
Dear Disney is rocking around.
People that aren't familiar with it, it's a legendary right down the street from Sox Park. It was a great bar. I was in that bar.
It made them stronger as a unit because each player.
I think that extra RF stage up front
Yeah, I mean,
really gives this radio some nice sensitivity or gain.
The hot dog. Like 6.
It has good selectivity, is what I meant to say. It has good selectivity too, because what I'm tuning in right now is AM 740 instead of Toronto, which is right next to AM 720 WGN, which is a far more powerful signal where I'm at in Chicago. So quite often on these vintage radios, WGN overpowers and bleeds into AM 740. But I can tune it in quite well. And no trace of GN is showing up.
Stock of diamonds at the old
And there's
price.
720 right next to it.
Solitaire. Per carat, and 1 carat studs are.
Romeo Cornell. And these defensive backs are playing some good.
So let's see. Let's thank Angie Fox for coming up.
Alright, so next up, I will briefly go through the alignment. I've got a little procedure printed out here. Pretty simple. It's a little section right there. All you need is a VTVM and an RF generator. But I'll do it both with an RF generator and with a sweep generator. So it's fun to see the response curve on a scope. And then clean it up.